Alright, so for this one, A is -3, and then you'll have B is 4, C is A, so that's -3, minus A, which is a -3, close the quantity, square it, and then minus A squared, that's a -3 squared, and then you'll have a B, which is 4. What's -3 minus a -3? 0 squared is 0 times 4 is 0, so that's gone. -3 minus. Then you have -3 squared is 9 times 4. So -3 minus 36 is -39. Answer to this one should be a -207.
What is that? What is it?
M is -4, and if you square that, you get 16. N is 1. 16 minus 1 is 15. Square that to get 225. Minus, this is a 1, so it changes nothing. P is -3. If you square it, you get 9. M is -4. Square that, you get 16. 232. The winning number today is 5. Here are all the A and A plus papers. Second period. It was Huey, Gaffney, Collett, Davis, Applegate M, Sexton, Applegate B, Rayburn. All right, here's your class. Storms, Holiday, Collins. Here's the test review. On problem 1, in second period, 76% of them had it right. And for this class, 50% had it right. Completely right. X squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. On the second problem, second period, 52% had it right. And 75% had it right in this class. X to the third minus 3x squared minus 10x equals 0. If you have any questions about these, feel free to stop me whenever we get to it. Problem 3, 29% for second period, 13% for this period. Of course, it would be one with the x to the fourth in it. These get difficult the higher they go. X to the fourth plus 4x to the third minus 7x squared minus 22x plus 24 equals 0. All right, problem 4, 86% in second period, 88% in here. X squared minus 14x plus 48 equals 0. Problem 5, second period, 95%. Third period, 100%. So this is third period. You don't need for me to read that out. And second period, 43% for number 6. And third period, 63%. X to the third minus 10x squared plus 27x minus 18 equals 0. Number 7, 95% in second period, 100% in here. No need to spend any time on it. Problem 8, 33% in second period, 50% in third period. X to the fourth minus x to the third minus 52x squared plus 148x minus 96 equals 0. Problem 9, 57% second period, 63% third period. X to the third plus 7x squared minus 14x minus 120 equals 0. Last problem on the regular part, 62% second period, 75% this period. X to the third minus 2x squared minus 9x plus 18 equals 0. Extra credit A was 48% and 25%. It should have been 134. B is 62% and 75%. It's 8. C is 52% and 38%. It's a negative 120. A lot of people had positive 120 on that one, so I gave 10 points. And D is 67% and 88%. It's 4. And the last one, 52% for second period, 50% for third period, 48. For today you have 2 objectives. One is the one from last week in which we have just a very small thing to finish off. And then the second one is a little more detailed, but it'll be the first day and we'll spend probably tomorrow and the day after on it. Here's the one from last week, and it has to do with complex numbers in a polynomial. And this one, in this objective, rewrite rational expressions, one of the things we're going to start off with is dividing polynomials by a binomial. But to finish up last week's stuff, example number 1, how many zeros are complex? And remember, when we went over this last week, from that objective, I said if I said the word roots or zeros, things like that, zeros are where they're going to cross the y-axis on a plane, coordinate plane. But what you must answer here is to look at this and figure out how many zeros are complex. Remember, to find a 0, you would have to set each quantity equal to 0 and get an answer. So for that first one, it's x equals 2. Is 2 complex? No, it's not. It doesn't have an I in it. So we'll do this one. X squared plus 3 equals 0. If I move that 3 to the right, I get a negative 3, and I need the square root of both sides. The square root of negative 3, what's that? Square root of negative 3. I square root of 3. Is this complex? Yes. So there's 1. And then we'll look at this one down here in this corner. X plus 4 equals 0. So if you move that 4 to the right, it's a negative 4. Negative 4 is not complex. So what's our answer to the question? 1. Yeah, we just have 1 0 that is complex, and it is the second one. Example 2. How many zeros are complex? X squared minus 1 equals 0. So if I move that minus 1 to the right, I get a positive 1. And find the square root of both sides, I get an x, and what's the square root of 1? 1. Is that complex? No. Let's look at this one. X minus 6 equals 0. X would equal 6. Is 6 complex? No. I'll try to fit this one in here on the side. X squared minus 4 equals 0. X squared equals 4. Square root of both sides. So x equals plus or minus 2. Is that complex? Is there an I in it? No. How many zeros are complex in this polynomial? 0 is the answer, right. On the practice problem, this will not give you a complex number. There is no power in this, unless there was already an I in there to begin with. This one, you have x squared minus 3 equals 0. So x squared equals 3. when you find the square root of both sides, you're going to be left with x equals the square root of 3. Is the square root of 3 complex? No, there's no I in there. So it's just the square root of 3. This one, x squared plus 3 equals 0. So x squared equals a negative 3. Square root of x squared, square root of negative 3 is going to give me x equals square root of negative 3. So you only have one. On the practice, anytime you see a power of 2 and a plus sign, you're going to end up with an imaginary number. This is a power of 2, but it's a minus sign. That means when you move it to the right, it's positive, so you don't have to worry about it. This has no power on it, and neither does this one. So the answer is 1. Here's the next example. You're going to divide a polynomial by a binomial. And this is not very difficult. Your first step will be to look at this item here, this term, the first term in this expression, x, and think, what do I have to multiply x by to get x squared? What is that? Yeah, times x. And if you're ever in doubt, just divide x squared by x. Divide this term by x, and you come up with x. Once you get that term, you must multiply this term by each of these and put the result here. So x times x, and then x times 3. What is x times x?
X squared.
X squared, and what's x times 3? 3x. Oh my gosh. So now you have to subtract. This is just like a regular long division problem where you have to put a minus sign down here after you put something there. X squared minus x squared is what? 0, so they just cancel out. There's no need to write a 0. What is a negative 6x minus 3x? Not 3x. Negative 9x is right, yes. So it's a negative 9x. Now, as with any other long division problem, once I do my subtraction, what is my next step? Starts with a D. DR. O. Drop. Drop the 2. Drop the 2. So now we have to figure out what we multiply x by to get a negative 9x. What do I multiply x by to get a negative 9x? Negative 9. So you're going to put that here at the top. And now go back and multiply the negative 9 by this and this. So negative 9 times x, negative 9 times 3. Negative 9 times x is negative 9x. And negative 9 times 3 is a negative 27. Don't forget your subtraction sign. What is negative 9x minus a negative 9x? 0. What is 2 minus a negative 27? 29 is right. Now, there's nothing else left to drop, so your final answer should be x minus 9 with a remainder of 29. Here's example 4. We're going to divide x squared minus 3x plus 10 by x minus 1. I'll use a red marker here. Alright. My first step is to find out what I multiply x by to get x squared. It's x. It won't always be x squared in that spot and then x outside, but in these two examples it is. So we put an x here. And now what do we do with that x? Multiply it by, multiply it by x minus 1. So x times x is x squared, and x times a negative 1, negative x. What operation do I need? Subtraction. X squared minus x squared is what? 0. Negative 3x minus a negative x is what? Negative 2x, yes. When in doubt, use that calculator. Negative 3 minus a negative 1 is negative 2. What are we dropping? Yeah, we're dropping the plus 10. And now, what do I multiply x by to get a negative 2x? Negative 2, yes. So if I put a negative 2 here, what do I do with it? Yeah, multiply it by x minus 1. So negative 2 times x is a negative 2x, and negative 2 times negative 1 is plus 2. Subtract. These cancel out. 10 minus 2 is 8. Yes, x minus 2, remainder 8. On the practice problem here, x times 3x will give me 3x squared. So it should be 3x here, and multiply it by x minus 2 to get 3x squared minus 6x. When you subtract, these cancel out, as well as these. Those cancel out. So you're left with 0. And then you drop a negative 5, and there's nothing we're going to be able to multiply by here to get this. So your answer is simply 3x, remainder negative 5.